Okay, let's just jump right in. That charity you proudly supported last year? Think about this for a second.
Mm-hmm.
What if your donation, well, what if it just vanished into someone's fancy lifestyle, maybe?
Mm.
Are we maybe just a bit naive, thinking most NGOs aren't, playing some kind of game? Sophisticated wealth management dressed up as compassion?
Right. I mean, picture it.
Yeah.
Hit donate, feeling good,
Right.
and that click directly funds, say, a CEO's third yacht or something.
Exactly.
Where's the line? Between actual altruism and just enabling people who are morally bankrupt, all hidden behind a nice little tax deduction.
I remember volunteering once. Totally eager, wanted to help.
Sure.
But the reality, honestly, it felt like these lavish awareness events, usually in really expensive hotels.
Yeah.
They seem to eat up way more cash than the actual aid works.
Oh, definitely. The overheads can be staggering.
And you tell yourself, okay, it's complex, there are costs involved, but, when does complex just become an excuse for us being complicit, even?
That's a tough one. And we all want to believe we're making a difference, don't we? It's a powerful feeling.
Absolutely.
But what if the main difference is just making wealthy people feel virtuous while, the actual underlying problems, the inequalities, they just stay the same? It's a comforting thought, maybe, for them.
Yeah, forget the old image, the person rattling a tin can.
Mm-hmm.
Charity now, it's this highly polished marketing machine.
Oh, yeah. Slick.
You've got celebrity endorsements, financial reports that seem deliberately confusing, more obscure than clear,
Mm-hmm. Designed that way, perhaps.
So is it really altruism? Or just, like, super well-funded PR? Better than Madison Avenue sometimes.
And think about the label itself. Nonprofit. Could that be, could it be the cleverest financial loophole ever invented?
How so?
Well, a way to pile up huge amounts of wealth, completely tax-free, all under this halo of doing good. It's a thought that kind of sticks with you, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. Picture this scenario. An NGO founder, tears streaming down their face on camera, talking about starving children.
Seen it 1,000 times. Very effective.
Right. But then cut. Off-camera reality.
Mm-hmm.
That same person boards a private jet. And it's written off as an administrative cost.
Yeah. The classic admin cost black hole.
So who's really benefiting? Seriously. Is it the vulnerable people they talk about or the supposedly virtuous folks running the show?
And maybe we donate not just to fix the world's problems, but maybe to kind of soothe our own discomfort about them.
Oh, yeah.
Like a transaction almost. We give money, we get a bit of peace of mind, but we don't actually demand real systemic change. So what are we really buying with that donation?
It makes you think about that old saying, give a man a fish. You know the one.
Feed him for a day, teach him to fish, feed him for a lifetime.
Yeah. But what if most NGOs are just endlessly selling us really expensive fishing lessons, knowing full well the lake's practically empty?
That's a pretty cynical take.
Is it wrong, though? Is it?
It's hard to say it's entirely wrong in some cases. You look back historically, right? Those civilizing missions, often just a mask for grabbing resources, colonial expansion, stuff like that. Always framed as benevolent, though.
So could some of these modern mega charities, with their amazing branding, could they just be the 21st century version? A softer kind of power play?
It's a disturbing parallel to draw, but you see echoes, don't you?
Yeah. Okay, think about it. You listening right now. When did you last really look into where your donation went? Like, properly scrutinize it?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it just a quick click, maybe a small recurring payment, and then this feeling of, I don't know, absolution?
That feeling is powerful. It's what they bank on, perhaps.
But what's actually fueling it?
Yeah.
Genuine impact or just the feeling itself?
We're quick to criticize corporate greed, aren't we? We see a headline, we get outraged.
Right.
But what if this huge nonprofit industrial complex? What if it's just greed wearing a halo, cleverly playing on our basic human desire to help? It's kind of a jarring thought.
Imagine you had proof.
Yeah.
Proof that a really well-loved charity was basically a fraud. Do you expose it? Shatter public trust? Maybe damage giving overall, but reveal the truth? Or do you let the comforting story continue, knowing it's a lie benefiting just a few?
Wow. That's a heavy ethical choice. Which lie causes more harm in the long run?
Exactly. And think about disasters. A big earthquake, a flood. Suddenly, new NGOs pop up everywhere.
Instantly, overnight sometimes.
Some are genuinely driven by compassion, no doubt. But others, are they just opportunists wearing humanitarian hats?
And how do you tell the difference? Based on one heart-wrenching photo that goes viral, it's almost impossible for the average donor.
And what about salaries? Can you justify a seven-figure salary for the head of a charity? In the name of doing good.
That's always a hot topic. The talent requires competitive pay argument versus the money should go to the cause
Yeah.
argument.
What percentage of your donation feels okay to be skimmed off for overheads? 20%, 50%? Who even sets that standard?
It varies wildly, and transparency on that.
Right.
Well, it's often lacking. The idealist in me, wants to believe in basic human kindness.
Me too.
But I've been to some of those charity galas, and sometimes the cost of the party itself, champagne, venue, entertainment, it easily outstrips the annual budget for the actual program they're supposedly funding.
Wow. The optics are one thing, but the math.
The math just doesn't add up sometimes.
I heard from someone, an insider, disillusioned. They said, easiest way to clean dirty money, start a foundation.
Ouch.
The applause is practically guaranteed. It's chillingly plausible, isn't
It
it?
is. And sometimes the help provided, even with good intentions by large NGOs, it can create dependency.
Undermine local businesses.
Exactly. Or even serve subtle geopolitical goals. Is that real aid? Or is it just influence peddling with a smile?
What about performative charity? You see it all over social media.
Oh, yeah. The $5 donation, then the screenshot?
Gets 100 likes.
Yeah.
Who's really benefiting there? The cause. Or the person's online image. It makes you question motivations, doesn't it?
Deeply. Be honest with yourself now. Have you ever seen an NGO ad and thought, that feels a bit too slick, a bit manipulative? That little flicker of doubt. Did you push it away? Because it's just easier to believe the nice story.
It often is easier. I heard this story once. An NGO built schools in this remote area. Sounds great, right?
On the surface, yeah. Heartwarming.
The catch, the land was donated by a big corporation. They got massive tax breaks, glowing PR.
Ah, there it is.
And the schools mostly stayed empty, lack of teachers, resources, whatever. Was it good intentions or just a perfectly staged PR stunt?
And flip that around. What if your own deep desire to make a difference actually makes you more susceptible?
How so?
Because you want to believe it makes you vulnerable to really sophisticated manipulators who know exactly how to play on those good intentions. Our own virtue can blind us, ironically.
You want to be part of the solution, right? Not the problem.
Of course.
And maybe that's why the brand name, the logo of a big charity, often matters more to us than digging into their financial transparency.
It's easier. Trusting the logo is definitely easier than trying to decipher a complicated balance sheet. Absolutely.
History shows empires crumbling, not always from invaders, but from internal rot, right?
Yeah.
Hidden behind monuments and public works.
Corruption from within.
Are we maybe ignoring a similar kind of decay within this whole third sector? Because we desperately need to believe it's fundamentally good.
It's possible we want to believe in altruism. We need to.
Maybe the problem isn't just a few bad apples. Maybe the whole system, the whole way we do global charity now, maybe it's flawed. Designed more to manage the guilt of the rich world than to actually create lasting change.
That's a radical thought, but worth considering. What if the system itself, unintentionally or not, perpetuates the problems it claims to solve?
It's a heavy paradox. And even after hearing all this, you probably still hold on to the idea that your small donation, your chosen charity, it's pure, right? Untouched by this stuff.
It's natural to want to believe that. But the most damaging thing in all of this, it isn't just the stolen money. It's the loss of hope.
Yeah.
When the truth about a trusted charity comes out, the erosion of public trust, of hope, that's almost immeasurable.
So back to that first really uncomfortable question. Are most NGOs just money laundering schemes? Or maybe that's too simple.
Perhaps it's more nuanced, more disturbing even.
What if they're laundering something else? Our collective conscience.
That's a powerful way to put it. Laundering our guilt, our apathy, maybe our comfortable distance from the problems.
If this conversation has made you feel uneasy, maybe question something you took for granted. I'd say share it.
Yeah, talk about it. Engage with people who aren't afraid of these uncomfortable truths. Let's actually examine this stuff together.
What if our need for heroes, for people doing pure good, what if that actually blinds us, makes us easy marks for predators in sheep's clothing, especially when they promise salvation and an easy way to feel good about ourselves?
And here's a dilemma. What's worse, an NGO failing because they're just totally incompetent?
Right, mismanagement.
Or an NGO that's brilliantly successful at achieving a completely corrupt mission, which is the bigger failure.
That's tough. And now we follow charities like influencers, don't we?
Yeah, on social media. Judge them by their image.
Their curated posts, the feel-good stories. Are we looking for real solutions or just content that makes us feel better.
Imagine the actual paper trail for a dodgy one. Donations come in,
Good intentions.
then get funneled through maybe shell companies, layers of complexity.
Offshore accounts.
Right. Ending up somewhere completely anonymous. Can you honestly call that nonprofit anymore?
Okay, try this. Make a quick mental list. The charities you support right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for each one, what do you actually know about their finances?
Yeah.
Their real, provable impact, not just the stuff on their nice website.
That can be a revealing exercise. Often, the answer is not much.
We like to think we're aware, don't we, of global issues.
Very aware. We read the news, we see the documentaries.
But does that awareness lead to real scrutiny, checking where the money goes?
Yeah.
Or is it a more sophisticated kind of apathy? Feeling informed lets us off the hook for demanding accountability.
There's a risk of that. A field worker told me something stark once.
Oh, yeah.
Said the communities they're supposed to be helping, they learn fast, they learn how to perform poverty for the cameras.
Wow. Perform poverty.
Because those images, that performance, that's what gets the NGO funding. It becomes this really weird transactional thing based on a pretty disturbing idea.
And those big awareness campaigns. What's the real ethical cost if the methods hide the messy truth? Or if most of the money just pays for more marketing, more fundraising?
It's a cycle. Sometimes it feels like the main goal is just raising more money to raise more money.
You might think, oh, I could spot a scam NGO.
Right. I'm too smart for that.
But the really sophisticated ones, they're designed to look legit. Perfect paperwork, heart-wrenching stories.
For sure.
They bypass your critical thinking on purpose.
And honestly, you probably don't need to be a criminal mastermind to run a questionable NGO.
Bro.
Good marketing skills. And a public that wants to believe, that might be all it takes. The barrier to entry could be worryingly low.
So who's policing this massive multi-billion-dollar sector? Governments, journalists.
To a large extent, it feels like it polices itself, which basically means asking us to just trust them.
And the implications of that lack of tough external oversight, they're huge.
I used to think, if it's a registered charity, it must be okay. Must be doing good work.
Yeah, that seems logical.
But then you realize registration is just paperwork. It's a legal status. It says nothing about ethics, effectiveness, or morality. Nothing at all.
A forensic accountant I read about said something grim.
What was that?
Said the books of a fraudulent charity don't scream crime, they whisper minor administrative discrepancies.
Little things. Until it's too late. Until it all adds up to disaster.
Think about the big names, the huge famous NGOs you hear about constantly, maybe even donate to.
Mm-hmm. Household names.
Statistically, just by sheer numbers, some of them have to be misusing funds, right? Or grossly inefficient.
Logic suggests, yes.
So which ones? The silence around that question?
Yeah.
It's kind of deafening, isn't it?
Nobody wants to point fingers at the big players without rock-solid proof. The potential backlash is enormous.
Have you ever felt that? That sting of being fooled. You gave money, believed in a cause, then boom, a scandal breaks. Corruption everywhere.
That feeling of betrayal, it's really personal. It makes you wary of giving again.
And if a big chunk of NGOs are inefficient, or worse, corrupt, what does that actually mean for our ability to tackle huge global problems? Does it mean our main strategy is fundamentally broken?
It certainly challenges the idea that simply throwing money through these existing channels is the best or even a good solution.
Maybe that slick campaign you saw wasn't selling a solution to poverty or disease. Maybe. Maybe it was selling you an indulgence.
An indulgence? How so?
Like a way to feel good, ease your conscience, without actually needing to change anything fundamental about how the world works. The power structures stay intact.
That's a deeply cynical but potentially accurate view of some campaigns. Okay, here's a choice for you listening. Path A, blind trust. Keep believing all NGOs are basically good. Preserve your faith in humanity. Path B, become a cynic. A meticulous investigator of every single charity. Risk becoming totally jaded, maybe stop giving altogether. Which path saves your soul, so to speak?
Wow. There's no easy answer there, is there?
Not at all. But claiming ignorance about potential fraud today, with information so available.
It's getting harder to justify. Not looking is often a choice, isn't it?
It feels like it. Imagine a celebrity you admire passionately pushes an NGO. Later, it's exposed as a total scam. Who do you blame more? The celeb, the NGO stammers, or yourself for trusting the endorsement?
That's complicated. Probably a mix of all three.
And that simple story we love, good people helping bad situations, it's such comforting camouflage, isn't it?
Perfect camouflage for the corrupt ones to hide behind. Our desire for that simple story makes us vulnerable.
So the next time a big NGO scandal hits the news, and history tells us it will happen,
Yeah, it seems inevitable.
will you be shocked, claim you had no idea, or will you maybe remember this conversation and the questions you perhaps didn't ask soon enough? That moment of reckoning might be closer than we like to think.
Maybe real charity. Maybe it isn't about these huge, glossy organizations at all.
What then?
Maybe it's smaller, harder, messier, more direct, local help. Stuff that doesn't come with a tax receipt and a fancy newsletter.
That requires more effort, more personal involvement, less scalable perhaps, but maybe more impactful person to person.
I have to admit, I've donated to causes I knew almost nothing about.
Huh.
Just to stop feeling so helpless, you know? Seeing all the problems. I
Yeah.
just want to do something.
That quick, good feeling hit.
Yeah, but it feels cheap now thinking about it.
Mm.
Especially when you consider the potential cost to the actual victims if the money went sideways.
And if we don't demand transparency, if we don't demand real accountability from these organizations,
Are we kind of co-signing the potential for abuse by staying
Mm.
silent, by not asking the hard questions?
it feels like we share some responsibility, doesn't it? We enable the system by not scrutinizing it enough.
So remember that first question. Are NGOs laundering money? Maybe the real question is, what are we laundering?
Our guilt, our apathy, our comfortable distance.
Yeah. All of the above. An unregulated, multi-billion-dollar charity sector running largely on trust. It feels like a global crisis just waiting to be fully exposed.
It does. And if this whole discussion has left you feeling kind of overwhelmed, maybe a bit confused,
That's probably a good sign, actually.
it means you're thinking, really grappling with it. Maybe listen again sometime. The patterns, the core questions, they might become clearer.
Definitely. And if this sparked something in you, maybe some unease, some anger even, share it.
Yeah, talk to people, especially those who maybe think all charity is inherently pure. It might be time for some harder conversations.
This has been The Deep Dive. We're not here to give you easy answers.
Our mission is to push you to look for them yourself, relentlessly, even when they're buried under layers of good intentions in those incredibly glossy brochures.